Hey guys, welcome to CANRUSH. There's 70,000 of you now. Just yesterday we hit the 70,000 mark. It's amazing, thank you so much. My name is John, I am from Canada, and this is my wife.
Eva, I'm from Russia.
And наверное, I just said a Russian word. I'm so used to filming in Russian. We have a Russian channel for those of you who maybe don't know. So we've been filming on YouTube for a long time. I mean, we have, I think, like over 300 videos in Russian. But now we have an English channel and we're very happy about that. And probably because of the fact, what I was trying to say is because of the fact that Eva's from Russia and I'm from Canada, one of the most common questions that we've been asked is, how did we meet? So we want to tell you the story. We met on October 27th, 2013. I was studying in Russia. I just did a semester study abroad. I'll probably say right away, I studied Russian language and literature, mostly Russian language, at BYU in Provo, Utah in the USA. And I did one semester abroad here in Moscow. And during that time, a group of students decided to go visit St. Petersburg. It's a beautiful historical city about 9 to 10 hours north of Moscow. And I didn't really want to go that much, to be honest, because I've been there before, I think a couple times. And yeah, but I decided, well, if everybody's going, nobody's going to go anywhere else with me probably, so I'll just go with them. And I went. And yeah, we just spent the weekend there, and it just so happened that on the way back, Eva and I were on the same train. But what were you doing there?
This is a story about Olympic Games. So this was a time a few months before the Winter Olympic Games started.
Yeah, the one in 2014 in Sochi, Russia, when
in
they were
Sochi,
here.
Russia. So a friend of mine, he was offered opportunity for him and his friends to participate in a Olympic torch relay.
Relay.
And he invited me to participate. He told me, Eva, it's a good opportunity to participate in this historical event. Just let's go for 2 days to St. Petersburg and let's have fun. And I was not so
enthusiastic.
And I wasn't so enthusiastic about this thing because I was working hard in the time in the hospital, and I was like, I don't want to go anywhere. I want to just relax this weekend at home. But so my friend and another friend of mine, they were
other friends, right?
More than one. They were calling and literally like begging me, like, Yeva, come on, stop behaving yourself like this. Just let's go and have a good time. So I said yes.
Yeah.
And
even though you didn't want to go that much either, which is interesting because neither of us wanted to go, but it ended up being a pretty good decision.
Yeah, I'm still very grateful to those friends of mine for their pressure. Yeah.
I should mention, you said that your friend said Yeva, but I called you Eva.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know, Eva and Yeva. Yeva is the Russian pronunciation of the name Eva. It's the exact same name. So you might hear us say both, but usually in English we try to say Eva.
Yeah.
But, oh yeah, and Eva is a doctor. I mean, she studied medicine. She has a degree in medicine, although she's not working as a doctor right now. Just so you know, because that's also a common question. I work as an English teacher online and do some translating from Russian to English. Another popular question. But back to the train. Russian trains have a few different categories. There are different. Usually there's different cars of the same train that are like different classes. So there's kind of like third class, second class, first class, and then even like cooler in some trains. But we were basically in third class, you could say, like the cheapest train. I'll show some pictures here. There's just like a long corridor, and on both sides there are beds. So you have basically like in each section there's 6 beds. So there's 4 beds on one side, like 2 down below, 2 up above, and then across the aisle there's 1 bed down below and 1 bed up above. And so that's where we were. I'll show on the picture here like exactly where I was. I was on the what they call a side spot, you know, like a side bed, where there's only just like 1 bed and then 1 up above. I was sitting there, and then Eva and her friend were across the aisle down below. So they got on the train, I was already on the train. It was about 10 p.m. and I saw Eva and her friend. Her friend was in an Olympic tracksuit. And I think I could see like the Olympic rings, or maybe I had already seen the tracksuit before. So I said, are you guys like involved in the Olympics somehow? What's up with the tracksuit? That's really cool. And we said hi or whatever as soon as they got in, and they explained that they had just taken part in this Olympic torch relay, and I thought that was really cool. And from that moment, we just started talking. And Eva was a bit surprised that there were so many foreigners in the train. I mean, there was, in our little circle, there were 3 Americans, me, a Canadian, there was a Ukrainian girl next to me, and who is a friend of mine, just happened to be in St. Petersburg at the same time. We decided to buy tickets back to Moscow together. And then Eva and her friend. That was it. So it's not that common. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to mention that I was pretty surprised of your Russian, because all this conversation was in Russian, so I didn't expect him to be a Canadian. He said like hi, привет in a perfect Russian, and like 10 minutes later I realized that he's not from Russia. He has some accent, and I think you introduced yourself as a Canadian, so I was like, wow, what foreigners.
I remember when I told you I'm from Nova Scotia. In Russian, I mean, Nova Scotia literally means New Scotland, and in Russian it's translated directly to New Scotland. And so I remember you told me you were really confused. You're like, he said he's from Canada, but he's from Scotland. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. But I was shy to ask her directly. I was like, but I'm pretty sure that Scotland is like very far from Canada. But I'm pretty sure I heard Scotland, and so I did know about this province.
Yeah, Nova Scotia is a province on the east coast of Canada. I'm sure there are lots of people who aren't familiar with where that is that are watching this video. So now you know. And yeah, after about 15 minutes talking, maybe after that, I said, I asked straight directly, and some of the American friends that were with me were like a bit surprised that I would just be so bold, but I asked Eva if she was in a relationship with the guy that she was with, and she said no. And then she asked me, because I happened to be with the Ukrainian girl, and if we were a couple, and I said no. And so that sort of got things started. We started talking more, and gradually, it was a night train again, so gradually people started going to sleep, falling asleep, going to bed, and we talked until about 5 in the morning, I think. And I think the train arrived at 5:30 or 6, maybe 5:30. You had like half hour sleep, I think. I don't think I slept at all. So yeah, I don't know. We talked about a lot of different things, about what we're interested in, and traveling, yeah. Canada. I mean, it's kind of cool that we are so into travel, and we met while we were traveling, basically. Battery just died. Back to the video. So is there anything that stood out to you, I don't know, from the conversation or from that time?
I do remember this part of our conversation when you keep telling me lots of good stuff about Canada. And I was confused, because you were here, like in St. Petersburg, in the cheapest train from St. Petersburg to Moscow. You're not in Canada, so I asked you, are you going to live? Are you going to live in Canada? And I remember the way how you answered. You said that I really love Canada, but the fact that I was born there doesn't mean that it's like the best place for living. And you told me, like, from the first hour, from the first day when we met, the first night, that you have lots of plans about traveling. So you want to travel a lot, you want to live for 3 years, I don't know, in this country, for 2 years in this country, that you love Brazil, that you love Israel, that you love so many different countries, and you want to visit almost everywhere. So I remember that I had kind of shock. It was a very untypical scenario about the life, because you didn't tell me that I'm going to come back to Canada to have a good work, to buy a house, a nice car, and to have a beautiful wife with 5 kids. It was very untypical answer, and I was like, wow, is this an option to have a life like this? So from the first day I knew that John is a person who really likes travel,
Sure.
and it will be very hard to how to say привязать его to
Like keep him in one place, maybe, or
Yeah.
like tie him down, you could say. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So I kept this in mind when you were proposing me. I kept this in mind.
When I proposed to you, yeah.
When you proposed to me, that if I will say yes, I should be prepared that there is no chance that we will stay in Moscow and we'll spend all our life here.
I didn't propose that day.
Yeah.
I'll try to like sort of go through our relationship story briefly. We filmed a video like this on our Russian channel, but we only basically stopped at this point. So I think we'll go a little bit deeper. Another thing that I want to say is that one thing that I remembered, and one of the things that I thought was the coolest, was that when I met Eva on the train, and when we were and basically very shortly after that, she was making a big decision in her life, and she shared a little bit with me that at that time she was going through her residency, so she'd already finished med school and she was doing a residency basically as an OBGYN, obstetrician gynecologist, and she decided that she didn't want to do that there was a lot of people, I'm sort of repeating her words, but there was a lot of people around her that were all divorced, and it was really difficult for families to have a job like that. A lot of times doctors in Russia work 24-hour shifts, and so you don't see your family that often. And then when you do, you're sleeping and stuff like that. So anyways, she was deciding at that time that she didn't want to do it, but that meant that she wouldn't have like her certificate to be a practicing medical doctor. And so of course that wasn't a very popular decision amongst many of her friends and classmates, and even her parents were quite surprised when she told them. But she decided to go through with that. And I thought that was an amazing example that a person could put in 6 years of study and time and energy, even more considering that she had to prepare to get into the med school, and then afterwards she was already in the process of her residency, to just say, wait, this is not what I want to do now. I've changed my mind. And to have that like bravery and confidence that to ignore the people that were all telling her, no, you're crazy, like just another year and a half, you'll have your paper and then you can move on with your life. You have something to fall back on. I thought that it was right, that if you don't want to do something, don't do it. Stop it now and change. And I really appreciated that, because within like the next week or two after we met, Eva quit, and she pretty much got a new job immediately, and she worked in the sphere of assistive reproductive technologies, which is also very interesting. She loved that job as long as she worked there. So yeah, after we met, I gotta say, Eva wasn't that eager to meet with me. Maybe she was just playing hard to get. I don't know, but I was saying like, hey, let's meet. We should meet in a few days or something. And 9 days later, it was the first time that we met again. I always remember this because I was waiting the whole time. And yeah, we finally met, and our first meetings were very like formal. Eva was sort of like standoffish. I don't know, it's not necessarily a Canadian thing, but I personally am a little bit more touchy. Like I really like Brazilian culture. I like hugging and I don't know, like putting my arm around people and stuff like that. So Eva didn't like that, I don't think, at first, and so she was a bit far away. And there was even a funny moment on the bench. Do you want to say it to tell the story?
Oh, you can tell the story.
It was like the third date, if you can call it a date, and
the third.
You think it was the first?
I think so, but I can be.
Okay, maybe it was the first. It was one of the first times that we met again after the train, and we were sitting on a bench, and I sat sort of in the middle. And Eva sat down right at the very edge of the bench, and I made a joke like, "Hey, I can move over. It looks like you're gonna fall off the bench, And she moved a little bit closer to me, but still not too close. And that was sort of a funny moment. But yeah, then we started seeing each other more often. But because I was in Russia just for a semester, and we met about halfway through, we only had about a month and a half left. And after that month and a half, I flew back to the U.S. to study there. But actually, before I got to the U.S., we saw each other again. because I first went to northern Iraq. I visited Iraqi Kurdistan. I was really interested in Kurdistan and the Kurdish culture at the time. And so I visited there for several days, and while I was there, Eva writes me and says, "I want to see you again," you know, and she was looking into coming to Iraq to see me, but I think she needed a visa or something like that, so I had a layover in Istanbul, in Turkey, and she actually came to see me in Istanbul, Turkey it ended up being literally less than 2 days, I think. Yeah, like one day or 1.5 days, because her flight was delayed. It would have been about 2 days. And yeah, we spent that one day together, and we actually ended up going to a Kurdish wedding in Istanbul, which was amazing. We'll have to I'll put a short video from there. And that was sort of like this moment where Eva had the whole time been kind of saying like nothing's gonna work between us. At first she didn't think I was a very serious guy, that I was interested in anything serious, although I was. I
didn't know that.
Yeah, she was very doubtful that anything would work out. Because we're from different cultures, because our countries are so far apart, and because we had different beliefs. Yeah, but after I left, I guess, what happened? How did you feel?
Oh.
Well, why did you come and see me?
I didn't feel satisfied with how we said bye to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know what does it mean, like what's going on. Are we dating, or like what was this 1.5 months with you? So I was thinking that probably I should fly, and I don't know, I didn't think too much.
You just
to be
did.
honest.
Yeah.
I just got my first salary, and I was like, wow, to fly to Istanbul it's so cheap, and it's just, why not? So I just did it, and I never regret.
Never regretted it, yeah.
No, never regret.
Well, I think it was sort of like you thought that we could just say goodbye and that was it, maybe, and then you realized when I left that like maybe that wouldn't work so well.
Yeah.
And I was happy that she came. But we gotta say that it was sort of mutual, that when we met the first time, it wasn't like love at first sight, like this is it, we're gonna get married tomorrow. We liked each other, definitely, we were attracted to each other, but it sort of just gradually grew, and we realized like, yeah, this could really be it, and it is. But yeah, towards the end of the time that I was in Russia, we were seeing each other every day. And even like, we were together like almost all night, and we were driving around and like watching movies in Eva's car and stuff, because I was living in dorms. And anyway, so after the 2 days in Istanbul, we kind of like, we knew like this is fairly serious. We probably we still weren't 100% sure, but we were like, yeah, we're gonna have to pursue this further. And I went back to study, and that was December of 2013, and then we'll just sort of speed through the rest. We kept talking via Skype and different apps or whatever, chatting and doing video chats. And long distance relationships are possible. It's a little bit difficult, but we had this crazy idea that Eva would come. Well, actually, first I came back to Russia in August 2014. We were in Russia for a little bit. We went camping with Eva's mom, and I met her for the first time, and Eva's dad, who lives in Ukraine. They're divorced, and so then we went to Ukraine too. We did a little tour around Ukraine, and in Kyiv I proposed to Eva. A couple months before that, I guess, I decided like this is it. This is definitely it. And yeah, I was waiting for the moment. There was one time where I almost proposed to you in like a canoe when we were camping. We went out in the canoe just like while everybody was doing something else, and I was almost ready to do it, and then I remember they were like yelling for us to come back, and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. And yeah, anyways, in the end I proposed to in Kyiv, and she said yes. She knew I was going to propose. Like, we'd talked about rings and stuff. It wasn't like 100% for sure, but yeah, she said yes. And she was a bit surprised, but she repeated my name like 15 times.
We have this video.
I'll try to put a bit of the video, but the person who filmed for us, like I told Eva we would take a picture, and I told them to make a video, and then I proposed. So they kept turning the camera, so it's kind of like not very nice to see. If you have any like motion sickness, it might not be good to watch. Anyway, she said my name like 15 times, like John, John, like, are you serious? And I was serious, and she said yes. Yeah, so
And then you left.
Right, and then I left again. Like, we were together for about 10 days or 2 weeks, something like that, and that was it. I went back to Russia, and then I flew back to the U.S. again, and we had this crazy idea that Eva would come while I was still studying, so she could see sort of what U.S. universities are like and what my life was like there, because it was sort of like, 2-year chunk of my life. That's another story. I finished the bachelor's degree in 2 years, but yeah, and so we actually were able to do that. She came in October, I believe. Eva came to visit me in Utah, and we had a pretty crazy, really fun, like 10 days, something like that. And I tried to like jam pack it with things, and we even went to the Grand Canyon. I didn't tell her anything beforehand, and just tried to plan something for every day that we were there. And was it fun?
Oh yeah, it was so amazing. Like, every day was a surprise for me. There was a surprise for me, and it was a wonderful time in the US, like those 2 weeks.
I even basically like bought a car for that. Like, that was kind of like, I bought the car right before that so that we could do the trip, basically, so that I could take you and show you different things. And it was really cool. Then again, Eva went back to Russia. And then right when I graduated, I actually hadn't even finished all my exams. Eva flew again back to Utah, and from Utah we actually drove like 5,000 kilometers, or over 3,000 miles, back from Utah to Nova Scotia, Canada, in 4 days. Very fast, and then we got married in Canada. It was amazing, and Eva just met my parents for the first time, and my whole family for the first time when she came to get married to me. And that's it in a nutshell. That was our relationship story. We got married on December 27th, 2014, so exactly 14 months after we met, and I proposed August 27th. It just so happened that was exactly 10 months after we'd met. So 27 is a big number for us, I guess, it turned out, and
And then we went back to Moscow, and then we worked for 8 months, and then our world tour started. So we kind of, to make a circle.
Yeah, just so you sort of get a general idea. And we've been back since February, the end of February this year. So yeah, well, if you have any more questions, I'm sure you do. There are so many, and I'm sorry, like, there's about 30-some thousand comments on the video where my beard is growing, so I haven't, of course, been able to read them all. But if you have any more questions, please write them in the comments below. Let us know again what kind of videos you'd like to see, and we look forward to growing this channel, and my light turned off, and to getting to know you more. I guess you can still see us. Yeah, you can still see us. It's not completely dark. Alright, please like this video and subscribe for more, and I don't know, we send you hugs and love from Moscow, Russia.
Goodbye.
Bye bye. No?
No.